guys, it's Julia. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, the fattest anti-haul you've ever seen in your life. I love doing anti-hauls. I haven't done one in almost 3 months, which is kind of crazy to think about because there are so many new releases that I have hated. But if you're new to this concept, basically, I like to approach anti-hauls by looking at products that maybe at another time in my makeup journey I might have bought, but now I know better and I talk myself out of them. So I kind of use these to talk myself out of buying things and then hopefully talk you guys out of buying things that you don't need as well. These videos are, I mean, they're negative, I guess, but they're not meant to be like negative. They are just a way to combat consumerism as originated by Kimberly-Clark. I'm inspired to do these videos by Abby Williamson, my queen. So yeah, I have a list of all of the new releases I have some thoughts about. And without further ado, let's do this. Okay, I guess no better way to start off this video than by addressing what the love of my life has been doing. Anastasia! Yeah! They have released an unholy amount of new palettes in the past couple months. I really think that they're doing themselves a disservice, but also their collaborators. I'm annoyed that Jackie Aina and now Carli Bybel aren't really going to get their time to shine because there's so many new things that are coming out, and I know that they're going to drop a holiday palette very soon. I've seen some people like justifying it by saying like, no, the products are getting leaked and that's why they have to release so many concurrently. But Anasazi themselves have confirmed that they are trying to release a bunch of new things to stay on top of the market, and that's not cool. They are my favorite brand, hands down. I love Anastasia and I really don't want to see them become Colourpop where the releases aren't even special anymore because they feel pumped out. They don't feel like they've been creatively thought through all the way. Okay, so clearly I got off on a tangent when I was talking, but basically like what I meant. I remember when like Subculture came out or Soft Glam. I think the last palette that felt really special to me was like the Norvina one, the purple in the velvet packaging, not the volume 1 or whatever, but like those felt really special to me. Like there was an artistic vision behind them, and then after that all the palettes just felt like bleh. But they're doing this because it's working. Like brands do things because they make money off of doing things. I'll talk about the Norvina palettes in a second. Anyways, soliloquy aside, the Anastasia Carli Bybel palette. It is a very Carli Bybel palette. It kind of reminds me of the Carli Bybel BH palette that is, I think, no longer available. And from what I can tell, these shimmers seem to be the same shimmer quality that's in the Norvina palette. Really like foiled, very high impact, beautiful shimmer shades. And the color scheme doesn't really excite me, but I know that the formula is going to be really amazing, and I know that I will like those shades if I do buy that palette. I'm not really in love with the packaging. I don't know. I thought I would love like a completely pearl encrusted palette, but I don't know, something about it just doesn't really vibe. Maybe I'll get it for Christmas. I don't know. I wouldn't mind having that palette, but I'm not going to go out of my way to buy it, especially because I feel like it's just going to get overshadowed and there's going to be another Anastasia palette and it's not even going to matter, which really sucks. So yeah, I'm wearing the Jackie Aina palette on my eyes right now as a sign of protest. And then the Norvina palettes volume 1, 2, and 3. First of all, I've heard that these are like not the same formula as Anastasia's regular palettes, which like if I was gonna pay $60 for these types of palettes, I would expect them to be Anastasia's regular formula, which is one of the best formulas I have. I've seen good reviews of them and I've seen a lot of really beautiful looks with them. I don't think that these are bad palettes by any means. I think they're actually really beautiful color schemes. But again, they're really big. I don't super love big palettes right now. I don't know who told brands that like we want them. Anastasia's come out with these 3 gigantic monstrosities, 2 of which look almost the same. Like, is it just me, or do volume 2 and volume 3 look really like overlapping in terms of a lot of shades? But you definitely don't need all 3 of these palettes. I don't need any of them. And I've heard that they are geared towards pros, but also they have shimmers and mattes in the same palette, and like pros don't do that. So I think by saying that these are geared towards artists, they mean that they're geared towards like Instagram artists and people who love Anastasia and will do anything to get on their PR list. I love Anastasia. I really love Anastasia. That's not going to stop me from calling out these palettes. I think it's a clear cash grab. So as like gut reaction as I had to like, oh my god, it's a new Anastasia palette, I reined myself in and I was like, I don't want that. I don't need it. And I just don't like where this is going with them. So it was sneaked onto my mood literally like as I was finishing editing this video, so we're just gonna sneak it in here real quick. Tati Beauty. I saw it. I haven't watched Tati for a while. I used to watch Tati a lot. I was like an avid viewer fan of her channel, and I haven't watched a video of her since like May. I don't know, it's just not vibing with me. From what I can tell, this palette seems to be like nothing really special. Kind of looks like the ABH Sultry in my opinion, honestly. It's all neutrals. I love neutrals, but like I don't. Nah, I'm good. Thank you. So, is it just me, or like, could sis not have picked a worse time to drop this brand like out of nowhere? I feel like everyone is super tired right now of new brands just coming out from literally everybody, like celebrities jumping on the train. The beauty world is just completely oversaturated. I don't think this is a good time to launch a brand. Yeah, it just feels a little too late, you know? Like, could have waited on the vitamins and just done this first. And now for the brand that Anastasia is copying with their business model, Colourpop. I just recently made my first purchase from Colourpop in a while, and there's been far too many Colourpop releases to talk about all of them in this video, but I want to touch on the monochromatic palettes. They just came out with a black and white one, which is actually a unique idea, and I think it's actually something that fills a niche that probably wasn't super filled within the beauty world. So I think this is actually a good release, but they need to stop with the monochromatic palettes. They came out with a full spectrum. I thought that they were done once they did the orange one, I think. And then they came out with a peach one. They came out with this lilac one, which looks exactly the same as the It's My Pleasure palette, with one slightly lavender shade in there. Came out with another pink one that was strawberry themed. Probably another one that I've forgotten about already, and they've avoided coming out with a 9-pan rainbow palette, so that's cool. But yeah, these monochromatic palettes, it's time to stop. It's time to stop. It's like Urban Decay with the naked palettes. But of course, at the same time, Colourpop's also coming out with other palettes, 2 of which look almost exactly the same. And the So Jaded palette, I've actually had a lot of requests to review on my channel. I'm not gonna front, this is a beautiful palette. The color scheme, the packaging, promo photos with cafe lights looking all Zodiac and Gen Z Visco girl cute. I love. What I don't love is the fact that it kind of looks like a slightly less boring Morphe palette. I get that it's a lot of product, and I get that it is a decent deal in terms of how many shades you get. If you don't have any of these shades, I think this is a beautiful palette to get. I think Colourpop's formula is always really good. It's just very big and not super necessary. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Colourpop monochromatic palette and also the So Jaded palette. I'm sorry, Morphe, but what the hell? This was the biggest womp womp that I've ever seen. Or if it's James Charles. Morphe and James Charles are coming out with a mini version of the big James Charles palette. So it's basically, it is literally the exact same palette, same number of shades, same shade layout, but instead of the size of a MacBook Air 13-inch, it's probably going to be the size of a MacBook Air 11-inch. Slightly smaller, same shades, same products, and you know that people who stand James Charles, who already probably own this palette, are going to buy it and have 2 of the exact same palette. And you know what? When I said that I wanted Morphe to come out with smaller palettes, I didn't mean that. I can appreciate coming out with a travel size version of a palette, but for me that means fewer shades, more concise color story. This is just the same 35 shades in slightly smaller pans, and for me that's not the point of a mini palette. And it's just if I was traveling and I needed to take the James Charles palette with me, I would just take this. It's flat, it's pretty compact considering how big it is. It is just such an unnecessary release. I respect the hustle. I think probably the best part of this release are the beautiful promo pictures that I know are going to inspire so many people to recreate the look. Beautiful promo pictures for a palette that shouldn't have even been made in the first place. Kylie Cosmetics came out with a collection with Balmain, a really big, very bougie, very expensive designer brand for, I don't know which fashion week it is. Is it just me, or is it always fashion week? I feel like there's always a fashion week going on. I think this one was Paris, I don't know, but they came out with a fashion week collection with Balmain. It's your typical Kylie Cosmetics collection. It looks like it could be a collaboration with pretty much anyone. I don't really see the design influences of Balmain within this collection itself. I believe Balmain also did a collaboration with L'Oreal as well, and those ones had a little bit more of a something going on, where the packaging was more luxurious, kind of felt like a luxurious Balmain dress. Whereas this packaging, it's the same Kylie Cosmetics packaging, it just says Balmain on it. The palette itself, not horrendous. I don't mind the colors in there, it's just not anything super special. And again, I don't feel like this is a collaboration. I just feel like they put the name Balmain on there. If it was a collaboration, I would see some of the Balmain influences, especially with their most current collection, kind of reflected in the colors that they chose and the aesthetic that they did. And I don't really see that, so yeah, I haven't seen any reviews of this one, and I don't think I will. Natasha Denona has come out with another palette called the Metropolis palette. And I do want to say Natasha Denona is one of the brands that doesn't come out with palettes or anything very often. So I really do respect the pace that ND drops new things with, because I think they have a good amount of space between releases where people can kind of calm down, which is good because Natasha Denona is ridiculously expensive. This Metropolis palette, it's pretty. It looks to be predominantly shimmers, which I do think ND's formula of shimmers is a lot better than their mattes. I just don't really think that this is a particularly compelling color story. It kind of looks like the gold palette from Holiday 2018, and a little bit of the sunset palette kind of rolled all into one big palette. And normally I'll look at a Natasha Denona palette, and even if I don't like necessarily want to go buy it because it is too expensive, I'll look at the color scheme and be like, okay, that's really beautiful. I don't know, it just doesn't look very special. There is one like deep green in there that looks beautiful, but beyond that, yeah. Nah. This next one is actually something that I actually thought that I wanted, and then they released more pictures, and now yeah, no. Hourglass comes out with this holiday collection every year where they basically do like an ambient lighting edit palette, which has all their ambient lighting powders in there. And this year they're doing a blush quad, which I thought I really liked. So this is the Ghost collection. Okay, what is this packaging? This is a $58 blush quad. No. Like, I've seen Wet n Wild packaging nicer than this. It's so ugly, and the colors in there look beautiful. Definitely not a very inclusive palette at all though. And as much as those blushes look beautiful, I would rather just go buy a single from them than buy this trash. This one I really had to like talk myself off the ledge buying. Fenty Beauty came out with a pink version of the Diamond Bomb highlighter. The regular good old classic white Diamond Bomb. I know some people don't love this one. I actually don't mind it. I think it can really add quite an intense pop. So like right now I just have a little bit of like a pearly highlighter going on. This can just like take the pearly highlighter to like blinding in like 2 seconds. This Diamond Bomb is peachy pink crystals, and as much as I like really want to love that, I like pink highlighters for what they are, but they don't look good on me. Like they've never looked good on me. I just have a very strong yellow undertone, and it just looks so weird on me. So I've gotten a lot of tags on this new Viseart palette. It's called the Dark Edit, and it's kind of like a smaller, slightly less expensive little version of their Dark Mattes palette. There are some shimmers in there, and I do not like Viseart's shimmers at all, but the mattes in here look beautiful. There's a navy blue, oh my god, and a kind of like pukey olive green, almost yellow type thing. This is a really like objectively good color scheme, and I think that they did a good job with this one. I'm kind of ambivalent regarding Viseart's shadow formula. I think they're good, but I don't think that they're worth anywhere near what they charge for their shadows. And this palette in particular, my gut reaction was like, that is so stunning, but it looks really similar to the Colourpop Good Sport palette, which was one of my favorite palettes from last year. It's pretty much only missing the navy blue in there. You have like the olive greens, you have these two purples, which are pretty much exactly the same in the Viseart palette. And I think Colourpop shimmers are a lot better than Viseart's shimmers, which is crazy, but like very true. So I'm more than happy with this. It's almost the exact same palette, kind of eerie. I want to talk about this palette from I think Fable Cosmetics or the BYL Cosmetics. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that brand. It's called the Dream Book palette. $35, which is a pretty good deal for the amount of product you're getting, because there's 63 shades. And there are a ton of pressed glitters in there. Like, oh my god, it's like over 10 pressed glitters in there. I don't mind like one pressed glitter in a palette. It won't like put me off of buying it, but like 10, that's a lot. If I just took out like all the glitter shades, which are really adding a lot of like eye appeal to the palette, and just focus on the mattes, there are a lot of really repetitive shades, like 2 reddish orange shades that look almost exactly the same. Pretty much all the pink mattes look pretty much the same as well. And honestly, there's no colorful mattes in here that I feel like are unique that I don't have already. They're all pretty basic standard shades I already have in like my James Charles Morphe palette or any other rainbow palette that I own. I think really the only person this would make sense for are people who A, like pressed glitters, and B, don't have any other eyeshadow palettes and want to get one big colorful eyeshadow palette. But I also like don't think it's for beginners, because the pressed glitters are going to take a lot of finagling, and just thinking about it, it would be such a bitch to store this one too. So yeah, that was such a big no. Juvia's Place came out with a bunch of stick foundations. Creamy, easily blendable, hydrating formula. Hydrating is very interesting to see as a claim for a stick foundation, because in my experience, stick foundations have never been good for my dry skin. A lot of people who have dry skin really like the Hourglass one. Even this one is a little bit too dry for me, because stick foundations or cream foundations by nature are a bit more of a stiffer formula, and they just aren't suited to dry skin. It's a nice shade range, very affordable. I could see myself maybe picking one of them up as a cream bronzer, but I don't think that these would be good for my skin as a foundation. Just, I don't love stick foundations. Another one that I really had to like talk myself out of, Physicians Formula is did I say it correctly? Oh my god, I think I did. Physicians Formula is coming out with these big butter palettes. So a bronzer palette, a blush palette, a highlighter palette, and an eyeshadow palette, and they're all like pressed in that butter formula. I'm sure they smell like coconut as well. Bronzer palettes have never made sense to me, because there's nobody who can use all the shades in a bronzer palette. Like, bronzer palettes are pretty much only good for makeup artists who are doing makeup on a bunch of different people. Someone who's of a lighter skin tone wouldn't be able to use like half the palette, and someone who is of a darker skin tone probably wouldn't be able to use half the palette in here either. So it just doesn't really make sense as a palette for me to buy, or for pretty much most people. Highlighter palette, it looks pretty. I also wouldn't be able to use all the shades in here. I do have some singles of the Butter Highlighter formula, and I think they're good, but I wouldn't want like a full palette of them. The blush palette honestly looks really pretty, but there are like 3 or 4 shades in here that look almost exactly the same. I've never heard good things about their eyeshadows. Like, they don't have a formula that I've heard almost anything about, and the colors in here are really boring too, so I'm not gonna buy this at all. Anastasia has come out with these like, I think Halloween themed glitters. So Anastasia has a collection of loose glitters, and a video I'm doing soon, 5 best and 5 worst of Anastasia. Spoiler alert, I hate their loose glitters. Like, they're not good. I literally just buy like these $3 ones from JCat, and they look exactly the same on the eyes. Glitter is not something I think that you should spend more than $10 a shade on, because there are so many affordable options, not just from the drugstore, but like from indie brands that have really, really pretty glitters that are very, very inexpensive. Hard pass on those ones. Huda Beauty. This one was actually very interesting to me, and I rarely ever comment on Trend Mood, but I actually commented like, this is a release that makes sense. Huda Beauty is coming out with these 3 nude mini palettes. She took the color scheme of the new nude palette and basically broke it down into 3 smaller ones, one of which looks pretty much exactly like the new nude palette, and then 2 more that are suited to like medium and then deeper skin tones. I think this is smart. If you want a nude palette, these are a really good, concise way to like get those shades, and I think Huda's formula is really great. The shades in here look beautiful. This is a really good release. I don't need it because I do have the new nude palette already, so I don't think that these mini palettes are a smart thing to buy if you already have the bigger version of the palette that they're like mini-tizing, but it is a release that makes sense, and I think it's something that's not like completely stupid. I'm gonna go quick on this one, the Nikita Dragon New Face Palette. Interesting idea. I love a good 3D packaging. This is just kind of scary though. Also the inside's really boring, but like, yeah, the packaging is really creepy. And then finally, Kat, I Am Not a Nazi von Diphtheria has come out with Lolita por Vida, which is a really beautiful name for a very, very whack looking palette. I think Lolita is basically becoming Kat Von D's version of the Naked palette, where she just cannot tell where to stop. This palette aesthetically though, I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand the bigger pans of the like kind of mediocre looking shades. I don't understand the layout. There are like 4 different white looking almost shades that look like inner corner highlighters. It just what? Okay. Wow, okay, that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's anti-haul. I just had some thoughts that I wanted to share about these new releases, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed down below, and also follow me on Instagram to see makeup looks like this posted whenever. And if you made it to the very end of this video, you billioned roses, you get the bonus meme. Love you. Bye.
And get out of here and show you rise and shine.